So far in Unit 5, we have learned about all of the key elements of a polynomial, like the constant, the degree, the terms, the coefficients. We've learned how to write polynomials in standard form by combining like terms and putting them in order from the highest to lowest degree. We've learned about naming the polynomials. That was learning target 2 with words like quartic and binomial. And we're also now going to learn how to add and subtract polynomials. This is learning target 3. There are really 3 steps to doing this, but a lot of times you can skip the first step. The first step is to use the distributive property to make any parentheses unnecessary. So let's look at this first one here. We have really 2 polynomials, and they're being subtracted. If we're going to make these parentheses unnecessary, we're going to have to distribute this. This is really a negative 1 to all 3 of these terms. So step 2 says to rewrite the expression without the parentheses. If we're going to do that, we're going to have to distribute this negative 1 to each of these 3 terms. So this first one can be rewritten the same. So I'm going to write 3x squared plus 5x minus 10. And now over here, when I multiply 2x squared by this negative 1, I get negative 2x squared. When I multiply this positive 7x by negative 1, I get negative 7x. And when I multiply this negative 1 times this 3 over here, I get negative 3. So essentially what just happened is all of the signs of these numbers in here flipped. All of this positives became negative. Positive 2x squared is now negative 2x squared. Positive 7x is now negative 7x. Positive 3 is now negative 3. And once I've done that, my last step is to combine like terms and write the final answer in standard form, which means powers decrease from left to right. So first, I'll think about combining like terms, and I'm going to just start with the biggest degree. That way, when I'm all done, it will be in standard form. So look at the squareds first. I have 3x squared minus 2x squared. That leaves me with 1x squared, or I could just write x squared. And then I'm going to put a line through those because I've already dealt with them and I don't want to look at them again. The next biggest degree are these x to the first powers. This 5x to the first and this negative 7x to the first power. Because remember, if there's no power written up there, it's implied that it's a 1. So we have 5x minus 7x is negative 2x. Then I'm going to put a line because I already dealt with those. Next I have negative 4 and negative 3, which is just going to be a negative 7. And that's this polynomial subtracted from this polynomial. Now let's look at this one. Again, we're going to rewrite this problem. So we're going to start with step 2. But when we do step 2, we're going to have to do step 1 when we get to over here, because we are going to have to distribute this negative 1 to all of those things there in that second set of parentheses. So the first parentheses stays the same because there's nothing outside of it multiplying. So negative 4x to the third plus 2x squared plus 1. And then we have negative 1 times x to the third. That's negative x to the third. Negative 1 times negative 5x, that'd be a positive 5x, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. So again, x to the third became negative x to the third. Negative 5x became positive 5x. Positive 7 became negative 7. Essentially, I am just changing the signs of everything over here. And now I combine like terms. So I'm starting with the third degree terms, the cubic terms, because that's my highest degree. So if I have negative 4x cubed minus 1x cubed, that's negative 5x cubed. And I'm going to cross those out because I've already dealt with them. I don't need to think about those anymore. My next highest degree is the squared right here. And I don't have any other squares to combine that with, so I'm just going to write 2x squared and cross it out. My next highest degree term is this 5x to the first power here. And there's no other x's to combine that with. I'm just going to write plus 5x. And then I have 1 minus 7, and that's going to give me a negative 6. Now down here, I really can skip this first step because there is no negative 1 to distribute. I can distribute this positive 1, but when I distribute a positive 1, everything just stays the same. So I don't really have to think about it here. I can just copy this down without the parentheses. So 2x squared plus 4x minus 3 plus 2x squared plus 5x plus 1. I just rewrote it minus the parentheses. I just took out the parentheses. Now I combine my terms. I'm going to start with the squares. I have 2x squared and 2 more x squared. That leaves me with 4x squared. So don't have to think about those anymore. 4x and 5x, that would give me 9x. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Over here, I'm going to rewrite it without parentheses. And I don't have to use the distributive property at all because the only thing multiplying out here is a 1 and a 1, and multiplying by a 1 is not going to change anything. So I can jump right in, rewrite it without parentheses. We have negative x to the third plus 4x squared plus 2 plus x to the third minus 3x plus 5. I have a negative x to the third and a positive x to the third. Those are going to cancel out. Negative 1 plus 1 is just 0, so I have 0x to the third, so I'm not going to write anything for that. If I want to, I could write a 0x to the third, but that is just nothing, so I'm not even going to write anything there. Then I have a 4x squared, and I don't have any other squares to combine that with, so I will just write 4x squared. My next highest degree is this negative 3x. So I'll write that. And then the 2 and the 5 come last, and they make 7. And that is how to add and subtract polynomials.